Alright, all you red commies out there, I got a new video for you today. This is going to be a short one because there's really not a lot to say about this particular pistol we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at this guy. Ooh, shiny and black, shiny and black. Ooh. Alright, so what are we looking at? Well, some of you may have guessed close. Some of you may have guessed exactly. This is a Tokarev. This is a Type 54 Tokarev. Tokarev being the designer, it was never referred to as a Tokarev. This is a Chinese-made copy, licensed copy, original. And the funny thing about these, there's a lot of myths and rumors out there. Before I approach those, we'll just say I don't know the exact number of these made, but the dimensions are identical to the Russian Tokarev. So 854 grams or 30 ounces, has a length of 194 millimeters, 7.6 inches, 116 or 4.6 inch barrel, and the height of 5.3 inches. Seems to be the widest spot on this. So this is coming in at 29 millimeters or 1.16 inches. So fairly thin gun, but that's not too surprising considering the one I would consider disadvantage of this pistol. It's a single stack. It doesn't fire a particularly beefy round. I mean, it's a powerful round. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not powerful. I'm just saying it's not beefy as in its dimensions. And everyone loves a beefy round. So what does it fire, you might be asking? It fires the Tokarev round, which is just a copy of a really souped up version of the original Luger round. George Luger does the 30 cal there. So I'll give you an idea of the size of the bullet compared to a 9mm. So a lot of people poo-poo these. I don't know why, but these are particularly nasty rounds. The 5.7 that everyone kind of knows as being the I want to say the it round now, but it's a pretty popular round. The 5.7 round. It's dimensionally and functionally quite similar actually to the Tokarev round. And the funny thing about these guys here, and I probably shouldn't be saying it, but you can get these steel cord. You can't get your 5.7 steel cord. There's no armor piercing for 5.7, but the 7.62x25 Tokarev, you can get steel core. And the funny thing about that, you can't use them at the range. So they're in Canada, a steel core round is for all intents and purposes useless. So, box magazine. This is a dummy round. You can tell by the crimped, so like so. Oh, I have it at the half. So the way this pistol functions, so full down, single action only, nothing happens, right? Half cock is kind of interesting. So that's a half cock there. I can't pull the trigger, but the more interesting thing is you can't rack the slide. So that's its safe carry position. What it doesn't have a firing pin block, so if this thing gets nailed hard enough, it could fire off. It could break the sear and fire off. I found out about the half cock when actually first time I ever handled one of these. The guy in the store couldn't get it racked, and he realized. So racking, it's actually quite simple. There's not a lot of spring pressure on this. The downside of that, there's also not a lot of recoil mitigation. You feel it on this one. And I find myself, I always get hammer pinch. Always get hammer pinch on these things, which is not the worst, but it kind of ruins a fun day. What happened there? Let me try that again. I keep getting caught in a half-cock position on this one. There goes your round. Okay, so let's go to the history of this thing. There's not a ton of history because these things haven't been made. Well, they've made for quite some time. the original Tokarevs made in China were referred to as the Type 51, and those were carbon copy made with the same machinery. The Russians had stopped manufacturing this pistol in favor of the Makarov, and all the tooling was sent to China. But as anybody who knows, tooling wears out after a while. So once the original tooling has worn out, they started making their own tools, at which point pretty much the entire Tokarev changed, with one exception. The only exception that's interchangeable between a modern Tokarev and the Russian Tokarev, or the Type 54 and the Russian Tokarev, is going to be the magazine. As you can see, it works, and you throw your round on the ground. So going back to this, so 1951 was the Type 51, and it was manufactured in the Shenyang Factory 66. And this, if you look, it says 66. That's not the year. That's the factory. You can figure out the year. I can't remember exactly how. But the year is you can figure it out. This is about 1986. This one, so it's actually quite late. In China and other communist satellite countries, what you'll be seeing these used for nowadays in those countries would be security work, bank guards, things like that. It's not a frontline military weapon, although I'm sure there are some people still carrying them as backups. In China, it's quite funny because you can't even if you use one of these for work, you can't take it home. You have to check it in and out of wherever you work. So another little interesting fact. We've seen similar things happen here in Canada with our police, in the sense that taking home a pistol actually makes you a target here for theft. So some of the police were told not to carry their pistol homes. I don't know if that was a mandatory thing or a voluntary thing, but we have the same rules here. It's not just a communist country. Going back to this, so 1954, that's when the Type 54 was introduced. Surprise, huh? You see the numbers adding up there? So approximately 250,000 were manufactured as the Type 54, using exclusive Chinese components as opposed to anything imported or surplus from Russia. The cool thing about Norinco is they make these pistols to this day still. These are still being made. With some variations. This is an ex-military pistol. The civilian pistols will have a better finish. You can get them in two-tone. A lot of them will have, as the Americans know, there's no manual safety, which prevents a lot of these in the past from being imported into the U.S., so they were drilled and modified with the safety here. The modern Chinese ones will have that safety factory installed, so you're not mutilating a pistol. And one of the things that's more interesting, which I would have loved to get my hand on, but they're not expensive when they come in, they just go real quick, which is they make a 9mm parabellum. So, 9mm. I'd love to get one of those. Right now in Canada, our whole world when it comes to gun ownership is up in the air, so we'll see what happens there. So the ammo warning I'll give you too about these is, so we're saying, so to find that round to the ground. This is a copy of the 30 cal Luger round. I'm going to start with that point there. So these are common and easy to get a hold of. At least they are in Canada. I don't know about the US right now. Do not use these in your Mauser, your broom-handled Mausers, or your 30 cal Lugers. These are made to much, much, much higher pressure. And to make matters worse, there's even two different loads for the Tokarev round. One is the pistol, and that can be as low as 376 meters per second, or 290 foot-pounds of force, or 390 joules if you prefer. There's spicy rounds of these, which are designed for the Papasha and other full autos, where they're actually a much higher pressure chamber, and they come out at 490. Sorry, let me restate that first one. It's 376 meters per second, or 1,230 feet per second. So that's the pistol round, a subsonic round. But they can be loaded as hot as 497 meters per second in 1,630 feet per second. And that gives you 697 joules, or 415 foot-pounds of force. 415 versus 290. You can do the math there. The pressure chambers on a full auto round are going to be considerably higher. These pistols, they're not going to explode in your face if you use that round in it, but they will beat the crap out of them, and you'll have a worn-out pistol pretty quick. Putting that same round in, especially a C96, you could have a complete and catastrophic failure of the pistol, resulting in injury or death. I haven't looked it up to see if there's been any accounts of that, but it does happen, so be aware. All right, going back to this a little bit. So these actually in China are known, I don't know how to say it in Chinese, I'm not Chinese, I'm not going to try, as black stars. And let's see if we can figure out why that might be. Let's have a close-up look at this grip. Look, it's a black star. So there you go. Kind of funny. I find that name kind of very 80s sci-fi sounding, Black Star. I don't know. But that's what they're known as in China. The use of these is very widespread. It's kind of like any major power will hand out their second line guns to pretty much anybody who asks for them, and as long as they're your friends. So these in particular have made their way into Korea. But I think in Korea, a lot of them are probably still the actual Tokarevs, not the Type 51s. The Type 54s, combined with pretty much every other version, you see a lot of use in Vietnam. But oddly enough, finding photos in Vietnam are quite difficult, but I managed to find a few, which I'll show you. Beyond that, like most pistols and most wars nowadays, if it fires a bullet, it's going to end up in a war zone. So Afghanistan, Iraq, anywhere in South Africa, these pistols are kind of everywhere. They're the bread and butter of modern warfare, I would say. I don't know how common they are compared to other pistols. I've never been in a war zone, but it'd be interesting to find out what they've been coming across in Afghanistan when it comes to small arms. But this is one of them. Disassembles the exact same way as the Russian Tokarev. Just get a thinner blade than that. That blade's way too thick. I hate doing this because there's always a real chance you're going to mar your gun. So be careful when you're doing that. You gotta slide that back. Takedown comes out. Hold your spring on the bottom, because it will kink if you don't. Swap that out. Barrel bushing. You can see a lot of similarities here between the 1911 or the 1903 specifically. So there's your barrel. I'll show you your slide, your barrel, return, takedown, bushing. Just like the Tokarev, it's a neat little trigger group. Comes out all in one piece. Great for armorers. And that's pretty much really as close to strict as you're going to get. The grips, they come off quite easily as well. There's a little... That's it. That little guy there, you just slide them left and right, and your grips come off. The other side, you have another one here. Different shape. Turn it, comes off. Plastic grips. At that point, you're left with your trigger bar, your release, and there's one spring on the back there that hopefully you guys might be able to see. You see that back bar moving back there? That's actually attached to a spring. That's your trigger return. Dead simple, and that's the beauty of these things, is they are simple. So I'll just slide this back here just so you can have a good look one more time. Alright guys, So that's going to be the video for the Type 54, aka the Chinese Tokarev. Hope you enjoy it. I'm going to cut it down and make it short as possible. And this will be a follow-up to the TT33. So watch the TT33 and then watch this, and you'll have a better understanding of the pistol and how it works. Alright guys, thank you again. Like and subscribe. Every single one of you counts. You guys have been great. Still enjoy doing this. It's getting tougher every day, simply because ideas are running shallow and supplies are running thin. So I'm going to try to keep doing this as long as possible, and hopefully I'll be able to pick up the slack of my brain right now. I'm running on reserve, so stay tuned for more videos. Thank you guys.